So here's a personal question. What are you tempted with right now? Is it lust, online shopping, stuff, food, selfishness, fantasy lands, television? We all have them. So what just came to mind? Now, we've talked about perseverance and hope, and I believe perseverance amidst temptation emboldens hope. How could it not? Ultimately, when I give in to temptation, I don't feel glad that I gave in. I'm not proud. I find myself in shame. And I would guess that it's the same for you. I was encouraged by this verse this week when I found myself in temptation. James 1:3 says, "Because you know the testing of your faith produces perseverance. So let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Temptation is the testing of our faith, testing whether we believe God's goodness for us and plans for our lives are better than whatever else we think is going to satisfy our desires. So here's a free tool that I learned from my therapist. She talks about temptation as a beach ball in the water, that when we feel tempted, we want it to just go away. So we try to stifle and make our thoughts disappear, just hopping on top of the beach ball in water. But we also know the inevitable result when we do that is that we're never going to be able to keep the beach ball underwater for very long. It always slips through our arm or it pops up in our face. And temptation is no different. And stifling it isn't actually persevering. It's just wishing it would go away, attempting to use our own willpower instead of inviting God into our temptation. So instead of being afraid of temptation, acknowledging it actually takes away some of its power over us. And that's a step towards perseverance and loosening the grip of temptation. So in James, he urges us to let perseverance finish its work. Yikes, that feels like an unknown, vague time frame. But we also know that practicing anything makes it easier. Eventually, it becomes second nature. And the Bible says that we persevere so that we might be mature and complete, not lacking anything. So I believe that if you were sitting with the Lord, he would look at you and say, stop trying to push the beach ball underwater. You have to have realized already that that's not going to work. It's going to pop up again. So don't push away your temptation, but give it to me. Acknowledge that thought that feels scary and invite me in to transform it. Invite me to loosen the grip that you think it holds on you. That's taking thoughts captive. Being alone with our thoughts can be really unruly sometimes, but when you acknowledge that God is actually with you in those thoughts, then you're less alone. Then you can talk to God about your temptation instead of whatever it is that you would end up telling yourself. It's not going to be helpful. So I encourage you today, invite him into your temptation. It's not too dirty. It's not too messy for him. Sitting with you is exactly where he wants to be.